he was able to infer their latitude, how far north of the equator they were. And so this guy was able to crawl through a hole, a vent in a boxcar at night, a railroad car, and get back to the British consulate on the east coast of China, and then get back to the U.S., and that's the first time anybody knew what happened to these guys. So my father was quite fascinated with something. He lived through it. So did my mom. I guess I wouldn't be here. He came back fascinated with sundials. So, yes. So, there, the first picture is of the sand dial, one of my father's inventions. You take the sand dial to the beach, and then you don't have to get sand in your watch. Wow, Dad, that's great. The family got involved. We would varnish the wood and make the labels, and it was all very good. And they do work. I mean, if you go to temperate latitudes in North America, the sand dial is a fabulous little thing. It's a compass. If your magnetic declination isn't very much so it is on the East Coast. Oh, it's just big stupid fun. Then he wrote articles for the Evening Star newspaper and some other publications. And then he wrote a book about sundials. My friends, that's right. That's when he was given the lifetime membership of the North American Sundial Society. I say that because you know how crazy those guys are. The accountants here, the geologists are wondering, the accountants, yeah, you know, the accountant parties, the accountant fraternities are nuts. But the sundial people, look out. There's a bunch of people standing around. It's moving, look, the shadow, it's moving. It is a little bit of an odd bunch. I, of course, although I was around it, I was not affected in any way. I found last summer, I found myself making a pizza box into a sundial with corks and bamboo barbecue skewer. That's a polar dial for you students. Everything that's on the surface of the dial, the table of the dial that is not used for timekeeping, is called its furniture. So my girlfriend furnished this with fabulous artwork, which of course enhances your trip to the beach. And if you look at that, already set up there is the sand dial. So you might say that this guy is suffering from SOD. This would be some sort of sundial obsessive disorder. Fine. I can quit if I want. I don't want to. You see, what happens, you reach a point where everything that sticks up should be a sundial. This applies to every telephone pole, obviously. Every fire hydrant. Somebody should be out there painting the sidewalk. Come on. Every flagpole. Yes. Okay, and so my father proposed, wrote an article, a monograph that returned the Washington Monument to a giant sundial. We would have big plinths. Plinth, for those of you who play Scrabble, it's a fabulous word. It's only one vowel. It's the stone, the pedestal of a statue. That's the plinth, the Greek word. So the plinths would be out there for the hour markers, and then we maybe have stone walkways for the hour lines. And then the terrorists in their SUVs, their black SUVs, they would have trouble driving between. See, it's all good. If you go there now, this time of year, cherry blossom time, or a little after that, you can walk along with the shadow. The thing is so tall, and the earth is so round that it's spinning, that you can walk, it's like it's moving. Notice, not the hilarious joke about the sundial, but it's like really moving. So in the summertime, the shadow gets pretty short because the sun gets high in the sky. And in the wintertime, when the sun is low low in the sky, the shadow gets very long. So as my father pointed out, we will have to move the White House. It's going to have to move 3 blocks or so. But I think that's really, in all things considered, that's an important, it's a worthy, small price to pay. Enlightening the world with regard to mnemonics, the study of sundials. So, Bill, thank you for the long digression on sundials, but here's what happened. Because of the success of the show, certain professors had certain children that watched the show, and so I got invited back to Cornell University to a meeting, and they had this thing. Oh my heavens, I've got to refresh by the stars. Crazy concentration. Concentration. Wait, steady. Steady. Don't lose it. I'm working the dark. Yes. Whew. It's close. All right, where was I? Oh yes, we believed that we had pushed the button. Oh yeah. So what I want you to do is look at the base of the Washington Monument. You will see that it's gray. The shadow is gray. Shadow. But if you look closely, this light maybe is not helping us this way. You have to take my word for it. If you look at the shadow is not just gray, it's a little bit blue. The shadow is ever so slightly light blue. And that comes from the Earth's blue sky. And most people go through their whole lives knowing that daylight looks different from moonlight, but never really knowing why. And a lot of it is the sun is whiter than most room lights. Most room lights are considerably yellow. But also, there's this blue color that comes from the sky that most people don't ever put their fingers on. Now, we did not have a word for this in English. Weird. So I had to make it up. So, tinge of blue we call ceruleescence. Ceruleescence. Tint of blue. Now, there is a word in English already, viridescent. That's a tinge of green. But, come on, now there's a word for blue. I made it up. So if you, I got invited to this meeting, aware of ceruleescence, and they had this device that they were planning to send to Mars. Yeah. I shook it. How do they do that? They had this thing, and you can see that it's a big improvement over the other one. No, what is it? It's a photometric calibration target. It had this picture, the slide, from a vacuum test chamber, a cold, hot vacuum chamber, a temperature-controlled vacuum chamber. And the idea is, you point the camera at those coupons of rubber, which are tinted certain colors, and then you can determine whether or not you've got the colors right electronically on your camera on Mars. And then the idea was to have this thing cast a shadow, and then you would look at the shadow, and then you would get the same kind of thing, because these guys are professional photographers, they are aware of ceruleescence and so on. But if you look closely at this shadow in the vacuum chamber with a conventional light bulb, you can see the shadow is quite yellow. Now, we did not have a word for this. Once again, I had to step up. The word I coined, what am I saying? It is the tinge of yellow is xanthidescence. Xanthidescence. Exactly. Come on. Well, it starts with an X. So here's the thing. I'm in this meeting, in your mind's head, and they've got this picture of this device, and there's engineering drawings out there, and here's this metal stick going all the way to Mars. And for a few moments, I'm thinking, come on, you guys, that's a waste of weight. You never want to add weight to the spacecraft. I worked at Boeing. There's a